Daniel, we're good. Call meeting to order. Shelley, can you roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Here.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Leatham.
Here.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilwoman Giles.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gameros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Please join me in prayer. Jesus Christ, you are the healer of all. We pray for all our essential workers who continue to work during this pandemic crisis, especially all of our city workers. Be with the families of those who are sick and have died from the virus as they worry and they grieve. We pray for those businesses who have shut down because of the executive orders as they struggle to survive and hope for the one day that they can open up again. May they know your peace. In Jesus' name, heal all of us. Amen.
Amen.
Mike, can you lead us in the...
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we go to summary of current events. Fernando, I'm going to start with you because I know what it's like on that end now, sitting in, viewing in, and you're kind of an outsider. That's what I felt like anyway.
Yeah, you're a little delayed too. I got a call from Larry Alderman, and he was concerned that, you know how our neighborhood, so when you get past Escondia heading west, we all have Miami mailing address. And I know that we've looked at this before and that we made sure that we were counting them towards our city population, but there have been some oversights, and I know in some of the taxing that was...
The thing I have is to remind everybody that the youth club will be having a online and radio auction of August from 12 to 3 p.m. and that's to raise funds. That's, you know, an old school way into new age is radio auction. So it's August 1st from 12 to 3. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And that is for the...
Culver Valley Youth Club. Yes.
Shirley?
I just would like to make this announcement about the library, that they are doing the library and the Arizona Youth Partnership is doing a Zoom virtual presentation. It's called Building Resilience During COVID, and that will be tomorrow, Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. It's for the parents of 7 to 18-year-old children as well as teenagers. And if you just call the library, you can get the Zoom meeting ID and the passcodes that you might need to watch that meeting. Adria from at the library arranged all this, and she sure does go out of her way to get what information's out there that folks need to know. So thank her for that. I'd also like to, these cutouts, I'd like to talk about these cutouts because the Friends of the Dog Park, they periodically have fundraisers. And this past Sunday, they had a fundraiser at the farmer's market that was their most successful ever. And they've raised some pretty decent amounts of money. And for this to be the most substantial one ever was a big deal. So they are raising money to put the amenities at the dog park. The city has constructed the dog park and planted all the trees and erected the fencing and what have you, but now we're to the aesthetics and the amenities, and the users, the patrons of the dog park are the ones, I'm thinking the two-legged patrons are the ones that are raising these funds, but they probably bring their four-legged folks along with them. They have donated all kinds of stuff to the cause, and these are some of the things they're going to do with the money. Other than benches, I hear that they want to put 6 benches, and so they've been in contact with Public Works. But these are cutouts. These are metal cutouts. So there's 15 different breeds and sizes that are going to be on the fences, and then Public Works will install them when they've been actually donated to the city. So these are some of the things that the Friends of the Dog Park are working towards, doing these things to cover up that fence so it just looks a little more pleasing. And at our meeting a couple weeks ago, we passed the shade cloth. They purchased a 150-foot long piece of shade cloth that it was about $450, And that will offer shade because the trees are not big enough yet. And it will offer shade for the dogs and also for the people that are watching their pets. So big thank you to everybody that donated. A lot of us donated produce or whatever, baked goods, whatever we could come up with. And thanks to all the people that bought the stuff, because you can donate it, but you have to have the customers there to buy it. So thank you to everybody that helped with that. I just want to give a little spiel for the High Desert Humane Society, because their thrift store is having a giant sale. $5 for a bag of anything you can fit in the bag. And they like all our businesses downtown are struggling, you know, so anything we can do to help. Also, Cindy at Turn the Page is having a pay the rent sale. That's what she called it. She's been struggling as well. And, you know, people just aren't out and about like they have been. So this weekend, actually starting tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, she's having a 50% off sale to pay her pay the rent sale. And so anybody that can help her pay her rent, we want to see that store stay in downtown. We want to keep what businesses we have in our downtown. So anybody that can go in there and get 50% off all the vintage clothing and any vintage items. She really needs the community support. So, and then I had a person, I'm sorry, I don't know the folks' name, but they own 300 North Broad, that beautiful green building that is being worked on. I had that gentleman tell me how out of her way Jonelle Brantley from the Historic Downtown Committee went, and I thought that really needs to be said out loud, that folks that weren't from here that purchased a building here that didn't know really how you go through the process and who do you contact for what, and they said that she just went out of her way to be so helpful to them. So I wanted to thank her for that. And then lastly, there's a fundraiser for school kids for masks if the parents can't afford the masks. Lisa Tarango, and you can catch her on Facebook. She's making these masks, and she's asking she will donate them at no cost to anyone that can't afford the masks for their kids, and they need multiple masks, and they might have 4 kids and yada yada, and they can't buy 20 masks. So she will give them to the folks that really need them. So what I'm asking for is anybody that has fabric or anything that they can donate to her to help her make these masks. And she's on Facebook, Lisa Tarango. You just look her up and you'll see all she's made thousands of masks and given them to everybody that needs one. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Freddie?
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have anything.
Thank you. Mike?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Mine's more of a personal thing. I just reopened my restaurant today. We were closed for 1 week because we had a COVID exposure two and a half weeks ago. And it was not when we were open, but we had a family birthday party, and the person that was in attendance that had it had no idea he had it. So he works for a local company that has to test whenever they go onto the mine property, and he gets tested like 3 or 4 times a week. So he came in that Sunday, and his test was on, and I found out that Friday afternoon. So we called the health department and talked to them, and they said that you don't have to close your business, but we figured it was the right thing to do for as many people that go through there, and without knowing whether or not we were positive, which we were not. So we just decided to stay home for a week, which drove me nuts. And then I was told today too, I can't hug anybody, so I just kind of hang out in the back. This is bullshit, but
Oh, that's gonna hurt you.
it hurts
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Because I'm always out in the audience, hey, But I wanted to thank Al too, because I called on Monday after we found out to get tested. And we made a few phone calls, and it was like a 3 or 4 hour wait in your car in a huge line. So I talked to Mayor, and he gave me a phone number to call, and sure enough, I called them and got tested Monday afternoon and had my results back in no time. So thanks for your assistance in that. And even after we did get tested, though, we decided to remain closed just in case. So it wasn't a great experience, but it wasn't horrible. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I have a few things. First of all, I want to congratulate Mary Hallen from Mary. I think this is maybe something that we need to do for our employees, recognize when they reach their 5-year, maybe 10-year, 15-year, 20-year threshold, and just at least recognizing, because those are key. Those are a lot of years to spend with the city. But on July 26th, she celebrated her 23rd year of service with the City of Globe. So that's Mary Helen from the library. I just want to congratulate her and thank her for her service to the city. And today, March 17th to today, the City of Globe Library team has served 12,093 lunches since they began their program. And this Friday is going to be their final serving of the lunches, so they anticipate their number to be somewhere around 12,500 lunches that they've served this summer through this program, through this pandemic. So I want to congratulate the library team for their work there also. I want to comment also. I was able to view online the Board of Adjustments meeting that was held this last week. They had their first case for review, and I think it was amazing. The people that were nominated by the council and then appointed, they are real professionals, and they did their work. I mean, they asked questions. There was, I think, 4 variances they were considering, and they did an amazing job. And I was glad chairman appointment was John Wong, who's the chairman of the Board of Adjustments, and Lisa Brazil's the vice chairman. But all those board members, there's 5 or 6? 5. I mean, it was amazing to watch. So I'm glad, and that's something new for our city, having a Board of Adjustments, but viewing that process was great. And I guess tomorrow night, from 6 to 7:30 is the Sheriff Candidate Forum, and you can view it online on YouTube. It's going to be here live.
Mr. Mayor, it's hosted by the Chamber, and we've offered to use our venue because of our technology to allow them to host it given the pandemic and everything like that. So we are supplying the venue, but it's a Chamber event.
So if people want to view it, go to the Chamber of Commerce website, and I'm sure they'll have it up on YouTube. And then on Monday, August 3rd, here at 6 to 7:30 also is going to be the City Council, our City Council Candidate Forum. And so it'll be the same thing. It'll be on, Chamber is sponsoring it, but it'll be viewed through YouTube through here. Okay. And that's all I have. That's all yours.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the reminder. Like I say, normally we wouldn't have the overlap in such a political event, especially when it's a council candidate forum. But we feel the overriding need that the information get out, that we can separate the venue and providing the room as we would to anybody else, but it is not something that the staff or council is involved in doing other than facilitating. Also, virtual meetings, again, we have anybody who has called the public questions or they want to speak to the item on the agenda, they can email us at council@globeaz.gov. If you'd like to speak by phone, what we ask you to do is to text a request to speak to 928-200-0154, and then we will call you back at the appropriate time. So text us. Be sure to identify yourself, because the phone we have doesn't have all the contacts, so we don't know who that is. And so let us know who you are, and let us know the item you'd like to speak to. And then at the appropriate time during the agenda, the clerk will call you, and then we'll put you on the speaker, and you can speak and be heard if you want that back and forth. For the call to the public, since it's a one-way conversation, it's pretty easy just to do as just the council email. And or you can just ask to have your text read if you don't want to speak but want to go through, if texting is easier. So that's still there, and we're broadcasting live on YouTube. And so if you go to the city website, globeaz.gov, and you click on the live stream meeting, and you click there, they'll take you to YouTube, it'll open up the meeting, turn up your volume, and you should be good. I know that we've had some issues with upload and download and all the bandwidth stuff. We're getting it checked out here. And making sure that we're working. And I know it's been up and down. I don't think they ever imagined so much usage right now, but that's our way to to broadcast those meetings. And if you want to watch it later, you can just go to YouTube channel for City of Globe and click on the meeting of your choice, and you can watch it later. Mr. Mayor, members of council, again, the library is doing so well. All the meals there that they're doing. The senior center is still feeding Frank's speeding around, feeding a bunch of, many people. I think we were talking about 80 people meals he delivers. And I was up at Besh and the Lone Lease Museum in Globe, and she is going through the archives. I got a folder. I need to give it to Shelley. It has the original deed to Hagen, what is now our community center and public works yard. And it's a beautiful deed. It's all decorated and has cool, emblem and thing like that. So she's digging out a bunch of that stuff that Stan was never able to take home to his house, and so we're bringing back there, and I think it'll be in Shelley's archives. But so she's having time to go through and do some deep dive into all the stuff she has out there while she takes care of the garden. And they still get people wandering in and wandering through there. It's free, and they can go and visit the ruins. They just can't come in the museum because that's still closed. And so, Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have for them.
Brady, you had
Yeah,
another
thank you,
comment?
Mayor. If we could just back up a little bit on the Board of Adjustments. I did watch the YouTube video as well, and they were very engaged, and I agree with you, Mayor. I think the selections and the candidates were very not only engaged, but they're taking this position very seriously, and they showed a lot of professionalism. I would like to see if we can publicly recognize all of them by name, if that's possible. That way, our citizens know who these candidate members or committee members are. I know you mentioned two, but do we have the names of all of those
Yes.
committee members?
We have John Wong, who is chairman of the board. Lisa Brazil was nominated and appointed vice chair. We have Mr. John Luz, Brian Gnu, and Diana Montgomery.
All right, thank you. I thought they did a great job. I really did. Thank you.
Something I learned too on watching it, because I don't usually watch it, is my wife taught me this, is that, and we do have visual problems because it starts to buff and then you lose audio. But what we did, what she just taught me to do is use the audio, the video, but keep your phone on the audio so that you never lose any of the talking points. It continues. You may lose the picture up here because it's buffering, but you don't lose the audio if you use your phone at the same time. Just a trick to use when you're looking at
So you
online.
call in?
No, we looked it up on YouTube on a phone and heard the audio there, and then we had it on our TV because she puts it on our TV on YouTube. So
So you had the meeting on both? The phone and the,
I wasn't looking at the phone; it was just the audio. But we looked at the phone, the just like the council meeting tonight. It's on our TV, but the audio is being projected through the phone.
Use your iPhones
Yeah.
to pick it up.
Is
So
this
that way you don't lose any of it, because it is frustrating sometimes when you lose the visual, you can't hear anything, but your phone continues with the audio. So, and then it catches up with each other, so it was good.
I had a couple questions. So I had some, after the Connie's Bridge meeting, which I myself couldn't, I got about maybe 2/3 of it, and then I lost everything. I just had the globe, no sound, no meeting, no nothing. And I'm not the most technologically inclined, that's for sure, but I also had the next day residents call me, several elderly folks that live in my neighborhood said they couldn't even get on they didn't know how to. I don't believe that it was a city problem. I think they don't know how to access the website when you know that address HTTP and that's not what they do. They just put in City of Globe and then they don't know how to get it. And I had even texted you that I couldn't get on it. I actually went to YouTube and put in the date of the meeting, and that's how I got on it. I couldn't get on it through the city's website. So I'm wondering, is there something in our neighborhood? I mean, we just are having troubles there.
Well, and I know there's, I mean, this would be a good discussion for tonight when we go to future
Okay.
meeting items, because we can have more of a
Easiest way
back.
for folks to access, okay.
Yeah, that would be a better, because I don't want to get drug into
Yeah.
a kind of a quasi-technical. We're freer to have a better conversation about whether there is something, a role in government.
Because there's people having trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing I had was, I myself was guilty of this. I had questions. I was watching that meeting, I had questions. So I had texted my questions. I should have probably just texted them to you, but I texted them to Shelley because that was the number that was shown on the screen. But I assumed, because Shelley knows my phone number, I didn't say my name. So my questions never got read, nor did they get answered. And that was my fault. I don't think people realize that either, that they need to, when they're texting, they need to say, this is so-and-so. I mean, we don't require them to put their address, right? Just their name, which I did not do. I just gave my questions. So, lesson learned.
And Mr. Mayor, so we're ping-ponging around, but that's okay. I want to add one more thing before I finish, from the reminder that we do have till August 15th to make comments on the bridge design. And so I added the link on the homepage of www.globeaz.gov, and you can view the meeting. You can watch it in its entirety. I think there are some buffering issues in there, but most of it. And then you can email at council@globeaz.gov any comments or questions, and then Jerry, they'll have to respond back. Everybody that asks a question will get responded back to. Yep. So there's still time to both watch that meeting. The handouts are up there. You can print it off, and so anybody that wants to know what's going on at Connie's Bridge and have an impact and ask those questions. It was a pretty thorough meeting. There are a lot of good questions, a lot of interesting stuff. But if there's still something you want to know, especially if you're a neighbor in the neighborhood, and well, I live just right there on that map. If you can see your home on that map, you should comment. And so that'll be open till August 15th.
Yeah, there
Mr.
were
Mayor,
some good
that's all.
questions on that presentation. It went well, Jerry. It was good. I think it was very informational.
Okay.
So next we go to community call to the public. This is a time when anybody wishes to speak. It's limited to 3 minutes. Just remember, we can't respond to you in call to the public. If you wish to speak to an item that's on the agenda, also either email it in or phone it or text it in, and then we'll address it when that subject comes up. Do we have any emails or phone calls, Shelley?
We do have one email,
Okay.
and this is in regards to the Connie's Bridge item. It says, "Dear City Council members, I would like to suggest a bicycle lane and/or pedestrian crossing to be incorporated into the new bridge design. Also, with the current bridge, the railroad track intersection is dangerous for bicycles because of the gaps between the rails and pavement, and the slippery black tar applied to the crossing area." And this comment is submitted by Mary Sue Smith. Let me check my phone. I think I heard it.
Thank you for that comment.
That's all I have.
Now, will we add those to our comment list, or does she have to do?
Just send one for us, and your powers will respond to every
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We go to special presentation and ceremonial matters, and first we have a presentation of the Globe Miami Recreational Master Plan and National Park Service Grant Application, and Linda is presenting. I think I lost my screen.
Let's see if this one.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this is actually a presentation for a letter that Vice Mayor Stapleton has signed, because we were being pressed to submit our grant application. This grant application is on a revolving basis, but the sooner that you get to the table, the sooner that you hopefully are going to be awarded this grant. So a little background on the project. This is a piece that has come out of our READY project that we have partnered with Gila County on. We began the Gila County READY process in the summer of 2019, and we were one of 43 communities in the United States to be awarded this grant opportunity by the USDA that also had funding supplemented by Freeport-McMoRan. So we have been able to really leverage this support with our local stakeholder. The value of this project has been $100,000, and it's been in facilitation and also some projects that are going to come out later on regarding our downtown revitalization plans that we are layering into the redo of the historic district master plan with Dana Burkhart. Oh, so getting back to this grant application, we're now entering our strategic phase. And one thing I should note is that our opportunity has been extended an additional year because of the COVID situation. So we are going to be receiving even more support from the amazing facilitators that have helped us with this process and in the research and helping in the writing of this grant application. I have to give a big shout out to the team that worked together on this grant application. It was most definitely a group effort. Our economic development specialist, Melissa Steele, was a huge part. Our local recreation task force, Thea Wilshire, Brandon Parker, Chris Jones, and then our facilitator has, Cheryl Yurkovich, Cormac has been a big part and also a big advocate for us at the Forest Service. And with our facilitator, Alex Perlstein with Alchemy. So the development of the following proposed strategic project, which will be the master plan. And let me pull up my PowerPoint. Am I going to share that or?
I believe you will be
Okay, thank you.
sharing that because I know I didn't send it to Danny.
Share it from your screen, that way you're the one controlling which slide you're on rather than us trying to do it from across town.
Great, thank you, Danny. Just one moment.
We are all becoming Zoom.
No, and my AC is not going at the moment.
That's what I thought, but it wasn't my AC, and then I turned the volume down and it went away. So I'm like,
There you go. Okay, so this, excuse me, go back a little bit. Oh my goodness, sorry about this. There we go. So what we are applying for is the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And this grant will allow us to develop the Cobra Valley Region Recreational Master Plan. The mission of this plan is to maximize our potential opportunity for recreation tourism more amazing and beautiful trails. So it's really going to make that asset of our community even better. And thank you to Stan Gibson. Hopefully this will also assist us in completing the 4.5-mile trail connection between Old Dominion Mine Park and Round Mountain Park. And these two pieces of this trails part of the plan is moving forward in a way that only BHP can move forward, because again, most of this is on their property. There's a lot of safety work that has to be going on, and it is going on right now, even though everybody's still in kind of COVID mode. So BHP has been an amazing partner in all of this. We are wanting to move forward with the addition of the outdoor adult fitness equipment that would be at the Old Dominion Mine Park. It would be situated right above the playground so that adults can watch their kids as the kids enjoy the park. This master plan would help us to create a sustainable and staffed nonprofit recreational trails organization, and also the creation of 3 community tourism events that would highlight local recreation opportunities, and also the construction of at least one recreation amenity that is recommended through the master plan. For instance, the creation of a regional skate park, or I hope this one happens, a downtown splash pad. So again, the community has identified recreation as being a priority, not only for our quality of life, but also as an economic development opportunity. These are just a few of the formalized plans. This is the City of Globe Strategic Action Plan that was implemented by Council. This is our 2020 to 2023 plan. Also, the Southern Gila County Strategic Action Plan that is currently being worked. The RCAC Building Rural Economies Grant that we received in 2017. And again, this is another resource that has been extended an additional year because of COVID. And there was the creation of a regional trails value chain that U of A was a big part of refreshing the Pinal Creek Trail plan that caught the attention of many of our local stakeholders, including BHP. And what was really refreshed and that really engaged the group was that it wasn't bypassing our downtowns. It was bringing the trail from the foothills of the Pinals through the creek, but through the downtown, kind of following the railroad tracks. And it also moved right into downtown Miami towards the other end. And lastly, this was last year that we went through the Cobra Valley Collaborative Action Plan. This was a facilitation that was led by Pinnacle Prevention's Adrian U. Darby. And there was 3 pillars that came out of that short-term economic development plan, and the 3 pillars being recreation, housing, and education. So again, I thank you for your support. I thank Vice Mayor for signing that letter of support, and as soon as we hear something back, I will bring that back to council, hopefully to celebrate. So thank you. Do you have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor. Hi, Linda. Mike Stapleton.
Hello.
Do we have a copy of the master plan, or is it in our agenda with a packet?
No, the master plan has not been created. This is to bring in the facilitation and the funding for the creation of the master plan.
Okay. If I can get some literature, like you just showed us your PowerPoint.
Sure.
If I can get some paper copies, I'd love to have those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you'd like to look at them prior to that, it's in the council attachments.
It is in the attachment? Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda.
Hello.
I read every line of this because this is really of great interest to me, and I use the parks. I sure use Old Dominion just almost every day. So the things I highlighted were like, the City of Globe, the Town of Miami, Gila County, the Chamber of Commerce, BHP, Freeport-McMoRan, U of A, the Forest Service. This is a big deal that we are collaborating with this many entities. And I just think this is really well done. My question really is that it says in here that it is anticipated that the City of Globe and its Economic Development Department will dedicate at least a half of a full-time employee in the service of this development process. So we're speaking of some.
Oh, absolutely. And we currently are doing this. If we take a look at our own strategic action plan, whether it be the economic development portion or the quality of life portion, there is much of our goals that are devoted to the development of recreational assets, whether that be the improvement of what we have or bringing in new. So we do have the current capacity right now, and we're doing it right now. It's what we would be committing to is participation in the task force that would be moving this forward, completing tasks to get the master plan done. So the actual facilitation would be led by a National Park Service employee. So they would be leading the charge, and we would be providing the information for the creation of this.
So this is well done. I mean, this whole thing is well done, and if Melissa did a lot of it, pass that on to her, that certainly it's well done. So I guess my other question is that then it says we will determine the need to identify and secure additional personnel. Is that a new person? We had talked about Vista volunteers at some point.
Right.
Give us your thoughts on that.
So this is very ambitious, this plan, and the thought behind it is this is a 5-year action plan, and so that person may not come within those 5 years, but possibly after the 5 years, as we increase our tourism through the advancement of our recreational pillar. So hopefully the revenue that we receive as the city, we can reinvest in someone who can help sustain these efforts. So, and it's not any surprise to any of us that the public has consistently come to us during town hall events, catching our council people on the street when we were bringing back the Parks and Rec Committee. The question at every single meeting, why don't we have a Parks and Rec director? And this is how we can have that person. And it may not be within 5 years, but let's hope it's within 10 years.
Let's hope it is, and then we need the boots on the ground to help them.
Exactly. There we go. And then we're creating more jobs, yes, which is a win-win for our community.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Giles, I wanted to thank you for touching upon the partners involved in this grant. I'd love to acknowledge the support that we received, letters of support. Of course, our Globe City Council, Town of Miami Council, the RCAC Corporation, Gila County, the Globe Miami Chamber of Commerce, our Southern Gila County EDC, our Gila County IDA, BHP, Freeport-McMoRan, the United Fund of Globe Miami, the United States Forest Service, Capstone, and CCYS.
I left out a few of those. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to tell Linda I appreciate the hard work that she did on this report, and I don't know where she finds time to do a lot of it, because this week I ran into her a couple of times when she was out with potential investors, and I think you said they were survey starters or whatever it was on Saturday or Sunday, Linda?
They're a startup
That was on
sports drink manufacturer.
Yeah, that was on Saturday, and I just happened to be driving by, and she waved to me. I said hello, and she says, "Come here and meet these people on 2 different occasions this weekend." And it was very interesting. It was a couple of young men looking at Oak Street School, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 2 guys that were doing the startup survey were in the town of Miami checking out the buildings and everything that were available, I guess. I'm not sure what the startup survey is, so you and I need to get together and talk about that.
Well, and I, we have a lot of interesting things going on that we wait until they hit the point where they're shareable.
Yeah, and I
But,
just wanted to
so-
thank Linda for that effort
Yes.
too, so.
We-
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Fernando, I know you're there.
No, I'm good. I know I've been kind of involved with this for a long time, so I'm really familiar with what you're doing, and I'm really glad to see it get revived and hopefully get a new life and get something done. So go, Linda.
Right on. Go Globe. Thank you.
Linda, and I want to thank you also, you and Melissa, for the work on this application and everybody that was involved in it to make it happen. Just one comment, no adult zip line at BHP or at Old Dominion?
That's never off the plan. When we were in a meeting with BHP, and this wasn't that long ago, and we asked if that would it ever be considered, and they said yes, because it's a Globe City Park, so as long as the city of Globe would insure it, they're good.
Zach kind of likes the idea.
Good job.
I think we should move
Linda.
forward on that one first.
Thank you. To allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $192,692.55. Is that the correct amount? Yes, it is, okay. Consideration of approval of council minutes. April 14, 2020, council meeting minutes. July 15, 2020, Board of Adjustments meeting minutes. Consideration of agreements and purchases of less than $25,000. Consideration of council to approve applications from Rachel Hansen and Sherry Grice to serve as on the City of Globe Historic Preservation Advisory Commission. Council will consider and possibly ratify City of Globe Council letter of the Globe Recreational Master Plan grant application to the National Park Service. Do we have anybody in the audience, in the public, or staff, or council that would want to remove any of these items for separate consideration?
I would like to remove item D.
Get that shot of removing item D. Okay. Any other omissions?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no other omissions, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as read and remove item, I'm sorry, was it B or D?
D.
D for further discussion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for approval of consent agenda minus item D. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. So we'll go back to item D, and that is consideration of council to approve applications from Rachel Hansen and Sherry Grice to serve on the City of Globe Historic Preservation Advisory Commission. Go ahead, Charlene.
Well, I just would like to thank these 2 individuals. Rachel Hansen is a engineer, and that's a great addition to our board. They also bought a building in our historic downtown and have moved their entire family with their 4 young children here. I'm really glad to see that she even wanted to do this. I think that's great, and I want to thank her. And Sherry Rice has been in town a long time, and as she's retired from the civil service, so she's got a lot of good background, and she has expressed interest for quite some time that she really wanted to be on this board. So with that said, if there's no further comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve them and thank them for their service.
Any comments on item D from anybody? Any council? Mike, did you have?
I'll second the motion made by Councilwoman Giles, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on approving item D. Is there any further discussion? I also want to make a comment. It's good to see a lot of our residents stepping up, like the Board of Adjustment, like this Historic Preservation, stepping up and getting involved with our city and city government. It really is great, because I think we have a lot of great things happening, and we look forward to one day opening fully in the future, so. So I'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you. So next we have new business. Item A, consideration of council to approve admission of a non-matching grant application with the Arizona State Library CARES Supplement Act Funding Opportunity Grant with a value not to exceed $10,000 that will be utilized to develop a virtual field trip program in partnership with the Gila County Historical Museum. Adria, is she online?
Should be. Oh, there she is.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am requesting permission to pursue the CARES supplemental grant from the Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records Organization. And the CARES supplemental grant puts an emphasis on libraries partnering with museums. For this grant, the Globe Public Library would be working closely with the Gila County Historical Museum to develop virtual field trips for different age levels that coincide with the Arizona state standards. The field trips would be open to the public virtually, but the outreach would focus specifically on teachers, including those that are homeschool teachers. We feel this project is important because the museum is currently closed to visitors, and this will allow students to connect with our local history in a more tangible way. Additionally, the grant would allow for the purchasing of books to enrich the virtual field trips and to more closely tie the library to the museum. The grant is a non-matching grant, and the grant award would range anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000. And because the application is due on August 7th, I am requesting a waiving of the rules to move forward with this grant application. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions, Freddie?
I do. Thank you, Mayor. Adria, can you give us a little example or a snapshot of what a virtual field trip might look like?
So there are numerous museums. Usually they're the bigger museums that already have virtual field trips in place. So they either have a link embedded on their website, or they might have a YouTube channel, for example. And so a teacher would click on that, and you would have presenters that were pre-recorded talking about whatever that, whatever the standard is. Maybe it's technology in the 1800s. And so they would be talking about that for the specific age group. And then with it would be filmed at the museum. So the presenters would be filmed at the museum, and they would be showcasing these different things that they could see at the museum. And then in addition to that, we would have things like a bibliography, so a list of books and materials that will enhance those field trips. So it'll be like a person went to the museum. They would be able to see the things at the museum, and they would get to hear the history behind the museum, all while tying it into the state standards for school.
Good. Thank you, Adria. Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
So who might the presenters at the museum be? Like Sheldon and Vernon?
Definitely working with Sheldon, definitely working with Vernon, Lynn Perry. There's quite a few people down there. So it would be a collaborative effort. And I'm going to be relying on their expertise in terms of lining up the presenters. We'll be handling more of the technology aspect of it and that sort of coordination. But I'm really relying on their knowledge.
Well, they'll be rock stars because they live and breathe that museum. They do. That history in that museum, it means everything to them. Great. That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mike?
So
I'm still working through, that's the amount that we'll apply for.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it'll hit 10,000 yet. We are still trying to nail down some of those costs on the application.
thank you.
Fernando, any comments?
No, I fully support going forward. So
Thank you very much, Adria, for your work on this grant application. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no other questions or comments, I motion to waive the rules and approve going forward with the grant, non-matching grant not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of this grant application. The rules, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank
Adria.
you.
Item B, we have consideration of council to accept a grant award from the State of Arizona Attorney General's Office in the amount not to exceed $20,000 and authorization to purchase 4 mobile Motorola police radios in the amount of $19,997.28, and also requesting to waive Section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Chief Walters?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We were very fortunate and contacted by the Attorney General's office that advised us of a potential grant opportunity for safety equipment. Staff Sergeant Haynes worked diligently to put together our highest need right now. Radios fell under that. This enables us to put new radios in the upcoming cars that are coming up in the next few months. So thank you to the Attorney General's office and their support.
Are these these are new radios to go in the new cars that we're starting with the lease program?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that is a no-match grant, Chief, at all?
That is a no-match grant.
Awesome.
Any questions or comments for Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chief. Ready? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no questions or comments, I motion that we approve the, that we approve and accept the grant award through the State of Arizona Attorney General's Office in the amount of up to $20,000 for the purchase of 4 mobile Motorola police radios in the amount of $19,990. And also request that we waive the rule on this.
We have a motion and a second for approval, accepting the grant. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Chief. Next, we go to action items, and we have consideration of council approved for ordinance number 864, tax rate adjustment for fiscal year 2020, 2021 from 1.2825 to 1.2795 levied on each $100 of the assessed value of all property, both real and personal, within the corporate city limits of City of Globe. And Shelley, can you read ordinance 864, and I don't know who's presenting, is Jeannie Rupert? Shelley is? Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor, ordinance number 864, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the City of Globe levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the City of Globe, subject to taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenue, providing funds for general municipal expenses for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2021. Is council pleased with the reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor and council, this is the second required reading of the ordinance that will adjust the tax rate that has been recommended by Gila County. So we're not raising taxes. We're just adjusting that rate to maintain that level of property tax.
And this is the final step on
This is the final step. This will be, the ordinance will be hopefully approved tonight, and it'll be passed on to the county, and they'll make that change for us.
I move that we accept the ordinance as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 864. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Shelley. Item B, we have discussion and consideration to issue invitation for Bill 0 water capital outlay construction with possible WIFA reimbursement. Jerry.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is another WIFA project. We have it ready to go out to bid. It is a line that has a repair on it about every 10 feet, about 1,000 feet. So we are I know there's going to be vendors that are really disappointed in us not buying as many repair joints, but we wish to put this on as a WIFA project. It was one of our alternatives that we moved up to get this work done, so the city could save some money in repairs. It's about 1,000 feet of line.
Jerry, how far does that go out on Walliman?
Just beyond the stockyards.
Beyond this, okay. Mike?
Isn't it? Yeah, but we have water lines in the county. We have water lines in the county.
I can't hear you, Mike. Can you turn your mic on?
So
Asked if that was a county road and
Walliman out to the stockyards is city.
oh, it is. Okay. So I need to talk to you about surfacing that road too, huh?
I'll be glad to asphalt anything in town.
As long as you have the money.
Yeah, just put it in my budget and I'll get it done.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
Charlie?
Jerry, I see those guys out there all the time. Give us I mean, in the last year, how many times has this had to be repaired? A dozen?
Walliman, it's slowed down some, but there for a while, about twice a month, we were repairing it.
Yeah.
And the problem with it is you don't just go out and replace a 10-foot piece. When you're replacing that, it's brittle enough it breaks while you're repairing it. And so what we call chasing the repairs. So we might go out for a one area and end up with 4 breaks. And so we're out there for a whole day rather than an hour.
And that's just so underutilizing our guys' time, you know?
It is.
It really is.
It is, but they've gotten really good at repairing it.
Well, hopefully when it's new, there won't be so much repair.
Freddie's smiling. He knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, that said, I move that we issue the...
Let me see if there's any more questions or comments. Anybody? Mike, go ahead.
I have a question, Mayor, through you. After 1,000 feet, Jerry, how's the line? I mean,
So the line, we haven't had any trouble with it. Beyond that, there's a different type of material within that 1,000 feet. That's why we want to replace that.
it starts within there?
Yeah, it's a different type of material.
Okay.
So we, there's a lot of areas in town that need replaced worse than beyond that.
Okay.
So within that 1,000 feet, though, that is the worst line in town.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And our estimate is in the fiscal impact in your packet. We don't give that out
Okay.
Jerry, do we service a lot of those homes with city water then, that are in the county there on Walliman?
We do.
So we service most of them?
We do.
Okay. Fernando, any comment?
No, I just think we really need to get this going. I agree.
And we're asking that the council direct us to advertise this.
So
Go
moved.
ahead, Charlie.
Second?
So we have a motion, a second. This is a ratification? Okay.
No, I don't believe we've advertised yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Okay, to advertise, I'm sorry.
So we will bring it back after the advertising and we vetted the bidders, and we will bring back our selection for council approval.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Jerry. Next, item C, consideration of council to approve a 5-year purchase agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated to purchase body-worn cameras in the amount of $117,477.38, expending $23,308 $1,078.78 in fiscal year 2021 for 1 year, with $7,500 from 10-57-51289 police miscellaneous and $15,808.78 to be transferred from admin contingency account number 10-555300, of which $3,730 represents a donation raised by Debbie Cox made in 2018, and $1,500 represents a donation by Lee Kennard of Old Dominion Firearms made in 2018, and authorize the city manager to sign the Axon Enterprise Incorporated Master Services and Purchasing Agreement after an affirmative legal review by the city attorney. Wow.
I wrote that. Just all in one sentence. So proud.
That's the fireman love.
Obviously, English will be good.
My
Primary
daughters are.
course, huh?
Yep. So I think is Dale behind me there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. That was very well done, Mayor. This is the proposal that we brought forth last council meeting. This is the final approval. Our goal is to get approval tonight and then make the order, send the order through Axon either tonight or tomorrow morning to start the process. If this moves forward, we're hoping to be completely outfitted and trained up and fully deployed sometime in September, more towards the end of September. Does council or the mayor have any questions concerning this?
Questions, comments? Freddie?
I'd just like to make a comment. I'm really for a cup of coffee, and she wanted to, because she's one of my constituents, and she wanted to talk about these things. And, here we are 2 years later, and it's coming to fruition. She had a vision. She went out and really tried to do something to help the police department, and body cams were her primary goal. So Debbie Cox, if you're listening, if not, I will call you, but thank you for spearheading this movement 2 years ago, and Lee Kennard for your donation as well. But I just want to make sure that they get the recognition.
So, Councilman Rios, so you are aware, I reached out to both Lee Kennard and Debbie Cox tonight before the council meeting to let them know that we will be mentioning them. I've had a number of informative meetings with Debbie since I've been here. She's a very active member within the community. I've had a number of discussions with former Chief Kennard. He's been extremely helpful. Both of those individuals are truly a great representation of what I have found across all areas within the city of Globe. It's a very supportive community of the police department, and I recognized what they were seeing from my prior experience with the value of body-worn cameras and what it brings to an organization, a law enforcement entity. However, we've had so many other things that we've had to deal with that's been put on the back burner. But like stated last council meeting, I think we just come to a point in time that it's really going to be hugely beneficial to our community, to the department, and to our citizens to move forward with it at this time. And I just want to say thank you to Mayor and Council, particularly this budget cycle. You've been extremely supportive of the police department and really kind of helped right the ship with some equipment that's been desperately needed. So I think we're starting to reap the benefits of that, and the continued support from members of the community has been of great value to the police department. So thank you.
Great.
So we need to thank Jennifer too, because Lee's wife, Jennifer Kennard, is half owner of the Dominion Gun Sales Shop, and she puts her time in there. So yeah, they did that as a joint gift, and thank you to both of them. I have a few questions. So I read this purchase agreement because after the last meeting, and we had some discussion about storage and things like that and privacy. I did have a resident reach out and ask questions I didn't really know the answer to. So I read through this trying to find the answer and leased out, I guess. I'm not sure what the proper terminology would be, to a third-party subcontractor that Axon will determine the locations of data centers for storage. For United States agencies, Axon will ensure that all agency contacts stored in the cloud services will remain within the United States. that was a question that a resident had. Where is this storage going to be? And who knows, right? With the cloud, who knows where it is? So, but this does specifically state it's going to stay in the United States.
Correct. And there are cloud storage areas across the country for whether it's private business or governmental entities. They're across the country. But through Axon, they all have to meet the same evidentiary standard and provable standard we utilize through them. So they've been a very reputable company and very service orientated. So we're fully anticipating that to continue.
So they are the company that other police agencies within the state of Arizona use for the cams and for the storage.
That is my understanding and my experience. In fact, the agency I came from had full deployment. I know Safford has full deployment through Axon. I know a number of other agencies in the valley are full deployment through Axon. They've worked extremely hard to make sure that they work with law enforcement entities to identify their needs, work with the courts, work with the justice system to make sure that the things that they're doing are within that scope.
So what keeps a hacker, you know, I guess that's the term, I don't know, this isn't things that I do, so, but you hear all the time about people's accounts being hacked and pictures being released and yada, yada, yada. What, is there any basis for folks' fears?
Okay, just like Superman, I have kryptonite too, and you just hit it. So if you want to talk about computer technology, I need to bring Danny up. If you want to talk about cows or law enforcement, I can help you. So they have firewalls and things up. They are state of the art. If you're going to get down into the specifics, I really can't answer that.
Well,
I can, but
I don't know the specifics, so I can't ask them. But I had a resident ask me, and I said I will ask.
There's very sensitive information on it, and that is one of the concerns that I was very fortunate to work with some very competent IT-minded people when we went to contract with them with my prior department, and all these questions were answered throughout them. I couldn't specifically give you the details of it. My daughter is a computer engineer, and I could bring her up, but I can't do it. But I do feel comfortable with their track record, with their reputation, and with the information provided by them as we move forward with them. So I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Giles, Danny, I mean, data centers nowadays, the security on those and the people tracking it, pretty strong.
Most data centers aren't going to be owned by the companies that are storing the data there. I'm assuming Axon probably does not have its own data center. It farms it out to other companies whose job is securing data. Most of these facilities have just physical security alone. As far as getting to enter the building, that looks like something out of movies. It's not the physical security, the access just to the data servers themselves is insane. Breaking into them is a monumental task. Not saying it can't be done, but data centers that have breaches don't stay data centers very long because people won't store their data there. These companies that have data storage as a business do their job very, very well, and that's why they're still in business. Saying anything is unbreachable or unhackable is not possible to do. Anyone wants to break into anything bad enough, they will. Just like someone that wants to burglarize a house, someone that wants in bad enough is going to get in. But there's a cost and a risk. But for the most part, professional data centers are virtually unbreachable. But nothing is 100%.
I would follow up with that it's considerably safer there than it is here.
Yeah. Very much so.
But see, that's valid. People need to hear that, sure.
Any other questions, comments for Chief?
This is Fernando. I worked in a data center. So they're absolutely right. If someone's talented enough and wants to get in bad enough, they get in. I mean, they hack the CIA and the FBI, but it doesn't stay hacked for very long. But why would someone want to hack this and spend that kind of effort? And it's probably not very likely.
And And Mr. Mayor, members of council, the easiest way to get information is through the human side, talking somebody into, giving out their password or something like that. And that's why I know Danny sends out these little emails that try to trick you into clicking on something and that we don't know to click on it, if you click on it, you have to take a training session. And so the human aspect, and I think that training that Axon provides to the officers, and there's limited access even among the police force to get into these. We feel modern day that it's very secure.
Chief, one question for the public. So does each officer get one of these body cameras, or is this shareable cameras?
No, we've actually, in this agreement, we've purchased enough cameras for all sworn personnel with the police department, with the exception of the 3 administrators, myself, Staff Sergeant Haynes, and Commander Castaneda. And then we have 1 spare in case one gets broken during routine and stuff like that. The only exception to that might be with detectives. We have a new reserve officer. It's a retired homicide detective that is coming on board with us, and he will probably share within the cameras within criminal investigations, but all patrol have their own. So they will be the policy. We have the rough draft of the policy done that governs the utilization of it in right now. So our goal over the next several weeks is we'll implement the policy on the process for what they're supposed to be using. There'll be training that will be brought up from Axon to kind of train the trainers. The entire police department will be trained, and then at the end of all this, when we do go full deployment, there'll be one specific position that's in charge of any type of redaction and kind of overall management of the system. So we'll go from there.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
The only thing I have, Mayor, is if I could, Councilwoman Giles, on page 6, section 4, it talks about security with Axon and what exactly Axon does to make sure that all the data is secure.
Thank you, Judge.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I did want to state we have had hoped to have complete reading of this and approval from the city attorney at this point. He's read the master agreement. There's some addendums that we're still looking at, and so that's why it's asked to allow me to sign once we get a positive approval by the attorney. But we're still working through. There's I think master service agreement is about 38 pages or something like that. So we're making sure that that's good. So with this approval, once we get support from the attorney, and I know many cities have done this before, but at this point our attorney is going to make sure and also read the documents.
Mayor?
Yes, Fernando?
Just one thing I would like to point out that you don't have to sign those master agreements. You can modify them. I mean, they may not agree to it, but we've gotten ourselves out of a lot of trouble by modifying those boilerplate contracts. Red Flex is a perfect example. And so I just wouldn't hesitate to say this is not acceptable or we don't really like this and change it.
Yeah, no, we always, Bill's very opinionated, so.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of a 5-year contract for body cameras. Any further discussion?
One comment,
Go ahead, Mike.
Mr. Mayor. Chief, they will have their cameras on all the time, right?
They will if they're going to be within policy. Now, it's not all the time. So,
Yeah, once they start an incident investigation.
Once they start an incident, there'll be a grace period. It's like changing the speed limit in an area. You want to give a little grace period so people get used to it. Sure. This is new technology and new equipment. However, we're trying to put our best foot forward in making sure that a policy's in there. We do proper one-on-one training with all of our employees, and it's just going to take time. It's like not shaking hands when you interact with somebody now because of COVID. All of us grew up shaking hands. It's natural for us. I catch myself all the time. It's the same thing with them. They're going to have to get used to hitting the button when they come out and doing different things, but we'll get there. We will be monitoring it. One of the things that was implemented with my prior agency is we did spot checks, and where we would just randomly pull footage and kind of review it. And what that does is it just ensures that we're getting proper compliance with the utilization of them. And then it also identified, the compliance was fairly good, but it also identified other areas that we needed to address. And it could have been how they're wearing it, or different things like that, or the timing of when they turned it on, and things like that. So we're going to try to take the best practices that we know of within the law enforcement world, and then try to implement all that, and then just make it right for Globe.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. Any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Item D, discussion and consideration to approve amendment number 1 to contract number CA-2020-0031 with Weber Water Resources to increase the contract amount from $24,000 by an additional $32,002.70, which includes a 15% owner contingency for a revised contract not to exceed $50,002.70 for the repair of well number 4, to be funded from account number 50-8051425, Water Securing Future Water. Jerry.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so thank you, Chief. I guess when I'm not allowed to have a long presentation, I just write a 2-page agenda item. So I learned something tonight. Okay, so this item is well 4, that is, that's what I'm asking for tonight, is we've already started them repairing the pump, because we had your approval for $24,000. So this amendment is for the additional, what is it, $32,002.70.
Questions, comments? Freddie?
Jerry, I've got a few questions. So, are there plans to put a sand filter or sand separator in, on this install?
So we talked about that, and we think a better plan is to drill a new well, and probably within the next 2 to 4 years, make it within 100 feet of this well. We should be able to do it for somewhere around a half. But build that well with a gravel pack around it, so we don't get the sand infiltration in it. So it's a different type of well and we talked to Weber on the phone. I think you were part of that, weren't you, Paul?
Yes.
And we thought that would be the best. We could utilize the pumps, the motors, the VFDs and so forth out of this pump, as long as we kept it within 60, 80 feet, something like that, of the current well. But that's probably the smartest thing to do, is to drill another well. Otherwise, you put a sand separator on it, you've got to pull the well every 2 years to bail it out. So, because what happens to it, if you put it at the bottom, it just drops right to the bottom and fills back up again. So it's like a cyclone.
So there's no
separator.
gravel pack, is that what you're saying?
There's
There is no gravel pack?
around this, no. And it was, I don't know why it was put in that way, but everybody we talked to says that there 2 of our wells have enough sand in them that if we get them re-drilled, rather than rehab the old wells, we have to do something with this well, because it's one of our highest producers, and we're concerned about having other wells go down. And so we want to get it back on board. This is more than a Band-Aid. It's more than a Band-Aid. It's a fix. But we hope it's fixed, because eventually the same sand will get back in there and tear it up again. So we think there's additional money out there to pursue re-drilling another well.
So you anticipate that without a sand separator, that the new bowls won't be damaged in a couple of years?
Oh, the new bowls will be damaged probably in 4 years.
Okay.
So we hope to, even if you had to replace these bowls again, you're talking $50,000. What's the expensive part is the VFDs, the motors and so forth that are up on top, so. And the process of pulling everything out. So we looked at a few different options here, and we think this is probably the best one. It was a kind of a long meeting, wasn't it, Paul?
Yes.
Where we made a decision, and we wish to move forward with this. It gets our well 4 back online. We've since have had trouble with 2 other wells. One of them was an electrical issue that we fixed right away. One of them was a error in a gauge, and we just replaced the gauge. And so, knock on wood, we're hanging in there, but it gives us a pretty good scare. That's why we want this one back in.
Mike?
Jerry, what's the timeline on this repair job?
So we've already started the repairs. They've already ordered the parts. We have to get the pump repaired. There's no way around it. Either we spend this money or we drill a new well. And so we've already started the repairs. It probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we're hoping we can get through the summer, most of the summer, with the wells we have. So right now, we hardly use well 5. It's the last well that we have. Besides Hagen and Pine, it's the lowest producing well that we have. So it's hardly comes up in the rotation. We usually use wells 4 and then well 3, and then cut in with well 2 and well 1, and then well 5 when we need it. Right now, we're having to use 3 wells to keep up with this. So if well 3 went down, we would probably be at minimal. We would struggle to keep the tanks full.
If you had to go to that level, would you go to water rationing or some kind of water saving
I think we
program?
have enough. Even with that, there's enough in the tanks. There's like 9 million gallons in the tank. So there's enough in the tanks to last us until we get repairs done. So, whoever was here before me planned it out pretty well.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jerry, are there any other local water companies we could get water from?
I think there's one over towards Miami. I'm not sure.
Over towards.
How you set for water, buddy?
So, yes. Yeah, there's one over there that I remember when they run out of water, they always get it from us, so.
Do you have a question?
But what's nice is if you remember, our lines do connect now. So,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
so our
Those-
lines do connect
Those two
now,
interconnects
and we had the
really-
forethought to do that. So, and even though our lines, our water feeds in that direction, if our wells were down, we couldn't keep our tanks full, the tanks would fill from the opposite direction as well. So, it's a good thing. It's a good partnership between Arizona Water and the city of Globe.
Mayor, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Fred.
So, because, of the nature of my business and of needs, so.
Absolutely.
But that's something that's in place that people may not realize or recognize, but it's a safety net for this entire community, both Miami and Globe.
Just like fire and police who have their mutual aid, it's nice to have a mutual aid on the utility side as well.
Yep.
You bet. Jerry, refresh my memory. I think 5 years ago, prior to retiring and sitting where Paul's sitting, is this one of the wells that we rebuilt back then?
Yes.
Is that the same well?
Yes.
That we had so much trouble with?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
And this is mainly because of the sand infiltration. This is our worst sanding well. And the problem is we can put a cyclone at the bottom of this, but all the sand that comes into this will spin out the bottom, and within 2 years, we'll have to pull it out completely again and redo it and bail it all out. So, I mean, it's possible, but we would end up spending probably $80,000, $90,000 every 2 years pulling this up. So I just think that this is the best way, and then give me a chance to go find some money.
Early?
So do you, am I understanding this correctly, that you anticipate the $56,000 repair is gonna get us through the drilling of the new well?
I hope it is. I mean, you can never, you can only anticipate, you can only, what's in your best guess here, because you're 1,000 feet down, you don't know what's happening there. But we've had the experts look at it. We think Weber told us that at least 2 up to 4 years on this, right, Paul?
Mhm.
Is what they told us on the phone. So, we believe
It's a comparison drilling a new well and putting a new well in compared to this 56,000.
So, if we drill close to this well where we can use the other electronics, Weber is talking about $500,000. If we have to drill out on its own, we're talking about $1.5 to $2 million.
So is it feasible to do it within 100 feet?
Yes. Mhm. It's not the aquifer that's bad here. Yes. Mhm. It's not the aquifer that's bad here because we have water, we hit water at 700 feet and we're drilled down to 1,100. So we have plenty of water. It's just the sand infiltration here. So if you put a gravel pack around your casement, the sand won't be able to get into your pumps. So this wasn't done. And you can't go back and retro do that. You have to really drill it separately, that type of well. But in fairness, whoever did this, all the other wells, except for one, has a little bit of sanding problem, but the rest of them do not have this issue. Well 1, which is the closest to this, does, and we have a sand separator on it.
Mr. Mayor?
Ready?
If I may, thank you, Mayor. How old is this well, number 4? When was it drilled?
It was redone, I'm guessing 3 to 4 years ago.
It was 2015.
15? No, 5 years ago then.
The well was drilled 5 years ago?
No. It was drilled in the 80s.
In the 80s? Oh, okay.
In the 80s, but it was rehabbed 5 years ago, I guess.
Mayor?
Dan?
Fernando?
So my understanding of geology is that you could literally drill a well 100 feet away thinking you're going to hit that, but then the reality of what you hit could be very different. Is that true?
Well, that's possible, except the aquifer here is pretty big. And so even though our levels changed, the aquifer is still there. And so moving it 100 feet out in the right direction, I think is a pretty safe bet. So, and that's a future discussion. I mean, if this well goes bad again, we need to re-drill it, even if it's, $2 million. So, yeah, so we'll try to come up with $500,000 first and see if we can come up with a good sounding on water that's close to this. I think, Paul, if I remember right, he said up to 100 feet, right?
I heard 100 feet, and they also talked about if we're replacing a well, you're using the same pump and or motor and some other things. A brand new additional well is going to be a lot more expensive than just relocating a well because there's a reuse of equipment.
You got well houses, you got everything that you got to put somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you're talking about at minimum $1.5 million probably somewhere else.
So
Questions, comments anymore? All for the question? You got a motion?
So moved as stated.
Second?
We have a motion, a second for approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Item E, consideration of council approval of resolution 1816, amending section 3.1 and 3.2 of Globe Personnel Rules and Regulations 2010. Shelley, can you read the resolution? Oh, no, there is no. Do you have a resolution to read? Go ahead. It wasn't on, I'm sorry, it wasn't on this thing.
Council of the City of Globe, Gila County, State of Arizona, replacing section 3.1 probation general and section 3.2 of the City of Globe Personnel Rules and Regulations 2010. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the direction we got from council when we last presented this was for to leave, new paper copy that shows the changes in red. And so there is changes in 3.1 where we changed it to 6 months, and then we added promotions to director level positions will require a 12-month.
I just have a comment, Mayor, if I could. Thank you for getting this back so soon, Paul, after the 14th meeting.
Well, thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
Okay, no,
Yeah, thank you to the staff for getting that, and then as long as it's satisfactory for the department heads, everybody's different, in every department, which, because of the changes and new people coming in, so we need to be open to that also.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further comments, I would make a motion that we approve the item as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for approval of Resolution 1816. Any further discussion?
I do. So I am glad to see that we have the 6-month put in there, because employees have already gone through a 12-month probation when they were hired. So to go to a different job, I would rather see 3, but I'll go along with the majority of 6 if that's, but I still have a problem with this statement. That probationary employees are at will and may otherwise be released at any time, yada, yada. Why do we have to put that in there in bold print, like to the employees?
the changes that were made are in red represent the changes directed by council.
Mine doesn't have any red.
What's that?
Mine doesn't have any red.
Do,
I don't know.
The new resolution.
There was an addendum.
You want to look at it? Mine's got
No.
red.
Right here, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, any other discussion on this, as Mike looks at that? We have any other further discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment too to the chiefs. Thank you for your input on this. You guys know the best, so we appreciate anything that you have to add to this. So thank you for your participation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Fernando, anything?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Late agenda items?
None. Oh,
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Fernando.
No, I was just going to say, wasn't Charlene bringing something up that we were talking about, maybe putting on a future agenda?
future agenda items, she's gonna bring something up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I wanted.
Yeah, no,
Not
late
agenda.
agendas, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we did not have anything we needed to add late past the original deadline.
I got mixed up.
Second call to the
We work on
public.
that.
Shelley, Daniel, we have any emails, phone calls? Do we know how many are online, Daniel? 15, okay, thank you. Scheduling of meetings? Future agenda items now.
And there's where Councilman Giles, we can have that conversation. And so, and I will say that we've had some buffering issues right now with the.
Explain what that means.
It means that the,
Goes in and out.
all right, Danny, what's the buffering issue?
Our internet connection is not currently capable of keeping up with the amount of data I'm trying to send to YouTube. We have more than enough capacity, but we have a technical issue with our internet service provider right now that is going to be addressed tomorrow by Sparklight.
And so, but in you can also have technical issues at your house when if you have a lot of things going on, and then you have just the operational issues that people who did not grow up with technology since they were 18 months.
And they don't watch these movies online. I
Right.
mean, they just don't.
And
So
but I
help them.
and so I don't what I struggle with is what is the role in city government to go to people who have this inability to manage technology because of either age or ability or anything like I mean, we want to be transparent, we want to make it available, but I can't see that we can get out to every person make sure that they have the ability to see the council meetings. I think we make reasonable accommodations and then point them to someone who can help them manage their technology.
Yes, Jesse.
I will say though, on their webpage, it's hard to finagle, and I understand that we're getting the new webpage in order.
Right.
But if we could somehow put the hyperlink in older text, because where it's at, it's very small and it's on the top, and just you have to like really read to understand that that's what you need to hit in order to get to the YouTube page. And if the residents could understand that, you know, even like a red arrow that says hit this
category to go
We have
to.
the City of Globe webpage up right now, in case you're if you're not seeing it. If you go to globeaz.gov, it is literally the first hyperlink in the main part of the page. With our current page, I don't know if we have the capability of putting up a banner. That's certainly something we can look at for the new page. Right now, I don't believe we have too much flexibility in what we can do and cannot do. Well, we have a lot of flexibility in what we can't do, but what we can do with our current page.
And Danny, to Councilman Shipley, like I say, the features on this is a feature poor website right now. The new one, I definitely look for a banner that's something that moves and attracts attention. I don't know on this one how to. I have very limited knowledge of how to modify this, but I do know how to get in there and make it, you know, 6-point and yellow and bold. And if I can download some silly GIF that says click here and insert it, I will do so. It won't be pretty, but it'll definitely catch your eye.
Even and I guess it's a banner, even like when you're waiting for getting on the meeting, if that showed that there was some kind of play button on it, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, well, something moving, it's easier to say, you know, you can say it's on the upper left-hand corner, but you say the Krylon, the scroller, something that's moving is always going to attract your attention. Even if you have bad eyesight, you're like, what is that? So I'm working with my mom.
You know, I just want to comment, I want to thank our council for actually supporting and bringing Daniel on and where we're at as far as technology and IT, because if we didn't have this in place prior to this COVID-19 pandemic, we'd be in real bad trouble. So, we are very lucky where we're at right now to have the technology we have and his expertise in it too. So we thank you for that, Daniel, too.
And to the point of the item in the question, I will go ahead and make the changes discussed. But as soon as we can, you know, I know that Melissa's working on the website, and as soon as we have a draft or a chance to show. I'm sure she's listening now, and we'll be looking a way that we can meet council's need and make that just that much easier. And I think the future agenda item will be to bring that back and, among other things, show that ease. And if there's anything that we can think of that can make it easier for, I mean, you know, my thought is, well, they can get training and help at the library, but the library's closed. You know, so I don't know if we can think of any other way we can help get people on board, but at least make it, if you can get to the website, it's plainly obvious where you got to go.
I'm sure if I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sure if they called the city, then everybody at the city hall would then let them know this is where you need to go.
I was taking screenshots and circling them and sending them, you know, but and you always have the option of finding someone that's a millennial or younger to help you.
That's for sure.
So I have one more thing that I'm not certain is a future agenda item, so I'm going to ask Jerry. What about addressing the McMillan Wash flooding concerns? I'm hearing this over and over and over, and I wasn't the only one that couldn't hear a lot of that meeting. In fact, I got some emails and some texts about it. Is that a future agenda item, or I told people what you said about the piers being
So we did address
peerless.
that during the meeting. It was put in as part of the as part of the public input, so it will be addressed there and brought back to our stakeholders meeting. So it has been part of the official draft for the public input. So
it will be addressed in a future meeting, is what you're saying. Okay, that's
so
good enough.
We've given it to our design team. They know we're concerned. There was public input to that effect. In fact, I read your text during the meeting, the one that you and I had, about that, so, I think that we're okay for right now. If our responses don't satisfy your constituent, you could have them, contact me directly.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
And Jerry, were we budgeted to modify the McMillan Wash in this project? This is the bridge project, but,
No, we would, in order to do that, you would have to actually take the railroad truss out.
I understand that, and when I brought up that probably 6 meetings ago,
But it is a good point, because.
it's something people are talking about.
Because you have to design the new bridge to offset the flow of the McMillan Wash along with the Pinnell Creek as well. So it's a valid point, and now it's on the record. Okay?
So we're going to bring that back for discussion?
It'll be discussed during our stakeholders meeting, which is the next step.
would council like a standalone presentation and discussion about how the bridge and the McMillan Wash will be interacted?
I would. Yeah.
I would.
I just want to make sure that when we design that new bridge, that it takes into account any modifications or improvements that might need to be done to the wash down the future so that they're compatible.
Okay, so
If I could suggest maybe, Mr. Mayor, we could push this forward to the 30% plans and then have our design team come back and show you how they have addressed that. I think that's because right now all we can say is, then we'll think about, so let us actually do it and bring it back to you.
But, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jerry, I mean, we will own what they bring back. We won't have any chance to modify it.
No, 30% plans are just that. We have a chance to change them. 60% plans are changeable as well. 90 and 95%, it's usually details, like this curb height needs to go 6 inches instead of 4 inches, that kind of thing. And then at 100%, it's ready for bid. So you really have 3 opportunities to make any changes that we need to do.
And so when we have these presentations at 30 and 50 and
30 and 60 usually.
30 and 60%, will those be public meetings where the citizens will be able to comment, or is that just meetings that were held here with council?
So we can do that either way. We're set up to do that either way. Either
Okay.
have
I would
a public meeting, which is more usual for 30% plans, and
Okay.
then the 60% plans is usually a council presentation.
Okay, well, I would suggest if we do a 30% meeting, that we make sure the public knows about it, because there's still a lot of questions, not only about McMillan Wash, there's still some questions about the Reese Canyon roadway and that turnoff for the big trucks and everything, so.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and Jerry, what I'm hearing is council would like a presentation on what was finalized in the 30% as part of a council meeting that is going to have more availability to get input, because you're all here and it's a higher profile event. And then we can have that discussion about the McMillan Wash and what they're proposing at 30, so they can get direction to keep going at 60 or modify at 60. And so once they...
Just one short correction, Paul, the 30% is more of a concept than a final design. We're not final designing anything. We've taken the public input and thrown it into a plan, and then we will bring that back and have it approved, so we can move forward to the 60%.
But then that'll allow additional public input that may possibly modify the 60.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the 90% plans are usually just small details that you would expansion joint here instead of there and that kind of thing.
Right. Thank you, Mayor. Jerry, is it safe to say that at 60%, all considerations, all structural construction or plans are pretty much set? And if there's any modifications, it would be minor modifications?
Usually we've we've done all the public and the stakeholder meetings. We've, at 60%, we have a design rather than a concept.
Right.
And that we are ready to move forward into final design. There still is the ability to make some corrections, but it's usually small corrections. Alignment on bridges is usually set at 60%. And material type and so forth is not. So there are some things that we cannot just waste money changing things. We cannot change the alignment on the bridge, so at that point.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jerry, but it is possible that we could have a presentation on the 11th before the completion of 30% to where council can ask questions and give input, correct?
We can have as many meetings as you want to have.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I mean, I would recommend that we're going to be within the August 15th window, and so it seems like there's a lot of concern. Whether we can do anything, I don't know. Whether we can afford to do anything, I don't know. But I think that the council will be more comfortable having the conversation sooner rather than later. And so if it's council's direction, Jerry can pull this rabbit out of his hat, and we can get a additional presentation on that. And I can't see, is he still looking at me?
No, he's left the room.
He's saying hop, hop, hop.
I'm gonna get, the bicyclists have the little rear view.
I don't know what this means, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking, dang it, Paul, I have to stand up here and talk again.
Yeah, well,
It bothers me.
yeah, we'll get mad on there. But Mr. Mayor, I just to answer the question, we will bring back an additional meeting for council. We'll advertise it to the public and put it in the agenda that we're going to be addressing the McMillan Wash, the impact of McMillan Wash, and have that on the 11th. Okay.
Just a comment, Paul and Jerry, when we advertise these public hearings, we still have individuals that say we didn't hear about it. And even though it was in the paper, it was in the radio and everything, how do we increase our advertisement on some of these issues, these public hearings? I don't know, do we put something in their billing as we bill their bill, or do they even look at their bill?
Well, I don't think we'd had time to do the billing. I mean, and the meeting that was held last week was advertised twice in the paper. But this will be a regular council meeting, and you all we can boost it on Facebook, as they say. I don't really know what that means, but they use that term a lot. We can boost it on Facebook, and we can splash it. If you'd like us to do door hangers on an area near there, he's probably not smiling anymore, but we could do door hangers on people in the vicinity of that area, also announcing that they have a chance for public input.
I know the marquee's down right now at the chamber, but is this something that we could look at utilizing and asking them to put that up on that marquee there? I mean, everybody drives by it, and so
It's pretty visible there too.
to see it that we have a special meeting or council meeting on this date.
I think if you put maybe some notices at Connie's store.
Yeah.
A lot of those people in that
That's a good place.
Yeah, I think Connie's,
area are.
that's
are,
actually,
frequent Connie's, so. beneficial.
Jerry, could we get a posting, those big official signs that you plant in the ground right there? And I'm sure we can figure something out.
What about those?
There's multiple ways we can advertise. If council says they need more advertisement, we'll do that.
I think they just did.
Mr. Mayor, the signs that I had asked a long time ago to be put up when we do a project.
Yeah,
could those
and
at that time?
is this federal money? This is not federal money.
This is not federal money.
Is part of the project to put that sign that says this money funded by the good graces of the state of Arizona? Are we gonna?
No, we don't have a requirement.
But okay, but we can. Let's come back with we'll do a mock-up of what that might look like and bring that back in 11th. And I know we did that at the dog park, but this would be a perfect one to do. And so, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Are we still on future agenda?
Well, future items, yeah. We're on a roll.
Mr. Mayor and council, We drive back and forth to the valley every day. We've been doing it forever. There's a big bridge project going on. I would like to suggest that we have the city manager see if he could set up a presentation from the contractor and maybe a tour for the council to go see it.
And Jerry, I think I asked you this one time, do they, I mean, you're the former ADOT engineer, will they do a tour of Pinole Creek Bridge?
You know, like maybe being up on top and looking down, see
Yeah.
what's going on. And maybe have them do a presentation on what's going on out there, just to see
Yeah, that's a,
what it is.
okay.
That's all I had.
Any other items, future?
I have one, Mayor.
Go ahead, Fernando.
I know that a while back the county had made a presentation to us about looking at bringing in fiber, and I know that Freddie was asked to be participant. I don't know that anything's come of that, and with our current situation with this COVID and so many more people working from home, that is so more relevant now than it was. And I'd just like to see if we can get an update, and if the county's not actually taking the lead, then maybe we ought to at least look at it on our own.
Yeah, I have not heard from the county at all, since we had our meeting and they had their presentation. So I couldn't tell you where it's at.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Shipley, let me see if it's still active, what the status is, and if it's, you know, if there is anything to report. I don't know how far they've gotten on that, but at least I could do a manager's update on the status of it, and if there is anything to be learned or anything new, because granted everything has changed since March 15th. So let me look into that about what the status, and if there's anything new that we can bring to council. But if there is, we will bring it.
Because right now we have an opportunity. I mean, people can work from anywhere. My son works at ASU, and he's been working from Pennsylvania for the last 2 weeks. And so that could change. That could be a game changer for small communities and rural areas. People could move out there, but we have to have reliable communications. And if maybe just even by asking, it'll help the county maybe move it up on their priority list.
Okay, we will look into that and see if there's a presentation there.
And with COVID going on, maybe somehow we can put pressure to the legislature or something that we can maybe enhance get funding for that too, and for every rural community that's experiencing this.
You know, and we've always seemed to be better off than Payson had been, but the usage has gone up, and you know it's a different story. And but yeah, let's see if we can figure out where that's at, and if we don't. If there's a way we can head off a future problem with bandwidth in Globe, we should act now.
Mr. Mayor? As I recall, I think this committee was put together to create a strategic plan for the infrastructure. And, you know, I kind of agree with Fernando. If there's something that we can do as a city to kind of start shaping this conversation, I agree, we should, and we could. But as I recall, the funding was given to the county to put this together. So,
well, and we could broaden it a little bit to just kind of a overview of you know what's changed in fiber, not only what we're doing here, what other communities are doing. Just see if we can find a source that can give us some information.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Wasn't this coinciding with what the schools were doing? They were going to put the fiber down.
Yes.
So maybe we can reach out to that individual, that contractor as well, to see where they're at.
And they are, is it Zillow or Zello is putting in, yeah, they're putting in lines right now. I mean, they're the ones digging holes in your sidewalk. Yeah. 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 And so I'm getting texts from staff that we should include the schools in this too, because they have projects going on. And so I think we've broadened that to a, just kind of an overview. And I'm gonna, and the next staff that texts me any information about it's gonna be the point person on this assignment. So.
Well, and maybe we could have our own
Oh, that's Linda.
little working group. So.
Yeah, Linda's gonna look into it for us.
Any other future agenda items? We will have executive session, so we need a motion to go into executive session.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, before we go into executive session and cut the feed, I will let everybody know that we have 2 executive sessions that require no additional information or action. So we will, what we will do is we will go into e-session. We're going to go in this room, so clear out the people because we have some people zooming in, and then we'll come back and adjourn, and we will try to pick it up at the end to capture that adjournment. But given the technical problems, just in case anything else happens, we're going to break for e-session. The video will go silent, and then we'll come back. And the only thing expected or agendized is adjournment after this e-sessions.
We have a motion, a second, go into executive session. Did you get the second on that, Shelley? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passed. Thank you.
Do till Danny
I
gives
only
us
have to
cue.
walk 6 feet, so I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, we're back on, so,
Okay,
great.
we're back on our regular session, council meeting. I want, requesting a motion for adjournment. Motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.